going to be going live. And as many of you know, I'm still learning how to do this. So we had a little false start there just a minute ago, but we're back on track now. So today is Friday, August 28th, 2020. We've had many, many months of the corona and the shutdown, and now it's all starting to really sink in. A lot of people have adjusted and kind of figured out how they're going to move forward, and then some people haven't. It's just been, it's just going to be hard for a lot of us for a while, maybe even permanently. So one of the things that's been really interesting through this whole time is the real estate market has been really active, and that caught us by surprise. But what's happened is, as we keep saying week by week, the other parts of the country have identified Southern Oregon as one of the places to go, that they can bring their job to. We have decent internet. We've got an international airport. We've got great hospitals. We have fantastic wildlife and hiking and boating, all that stuff we talk about every week. So the issue now is we had a lot of people that would not put their house on the market, or they couldn't put their house on the market, and it created a shortage. And so you have a lot of buyers, and then the interest rates went down, and so the shortage got worse. So anybody who put their house on the market, it usually sold pretty fast, multiple offers. And if you did not have a place to go, the market was so tight and so seller in favor of the sellers that you could negotiate this kind of not open-ended opportunity for the sellers to find another house, but pretty close to it. Like you could say in your contract, okay, buyers, I'll take your offer, but you have to give me 30, 60, 90 days to find a house. And you got to sit tight and not be whiny and complaining. That kind of a summer. So now here we are, the end of August. I have been predicting from the beginning that there would be a whole slew of properties coming on the market, residential and commercial, because people were just delayed, or they were scared and they didn't know how to do a real estate transaction during the corona. And we have great protocols. So, we've got it down. We know how to do this, and we can get your property sold and get you into your new place, without a ton of fuss. But we have a lot of people now starting to realize, oh, I can sell my house. So here it is, kind of the end of August. And I'm thinking this is really the surge we would have seen February, March, April, May. Southern Oregon is kind of seasonal in our selling cycle. So there's another question is, with the corona and school not starting again, people not going back to their buildings to work, the whole rhythm and the whole idea of having seasons in our business cycle, in our school cycle, in our real estate cycle, the whole idea of having some seasonality, I think, could be gone. And if that's the case, then what happens to our real estate market? Do we not see a downturn? Do we see a downturn only because we have a lot of inventory coming, people who couldn't get their house on the market, also people who have to sell now because they're not going to go, they got furloughed, they got laid off, their business failed. I think we're going to have a few months of that short-term kind of devastation, short-term meaning like 6 months to a year, maybe 9 months, something like that. So the reason I'm bringing all this up and reminding you is because the stats this week are super, super interesting. We're watching 3 counties now. We're watching Jackson County, Josephine County, and Klamath County. And Klamath County has always been a more affordable, a little less active county, but now it's really coming into its own, because if you can take your job, you don't have to live in Jackson County or Josephine County or California or wherever you're coming from. You can live there, and the taxes are better. They have a nice hospital. They have some nice services. We're also seeing kind of an uptick in Josephine County too, and the prices are going up. So, but we're here to talk about this week that a lot of the cancellations are amping up. Cancellation on a listing means somebody put their house on the market and then they gave up. So they're deciding actually not to sell. So we're seeing an uptick in that. We're seeing an uptick in new listings. and we're seeing an uptick in back on market. And back on market is super important to watch, and a lot of people don't watch it, and they need to, because you got to add the new listings to the back on market. And then you subtract the canceled and the sold, and that gives you a real-time estimate of what's going on in your market, in your neighborhood. So question, is it still a good time to sell? Yes, absolutely. You can still ride that crest. Also, as more properties come on the market, I think there's a whole nother layer of sellers that are going to feel more comfortable jumping in, saying, I'll sell my house. I'll put that 30, 60, 90-day clause in there for the new buyer to find a house, but you're going to have more choices. So some of the choices are going to be more hardship cases. I predict they'll still have equity. It's not going to be a big foreclosure market. There might be a few, but we always have a few. I think mostly people are going to decide to sell their house in a distressed situation, if that's what they have, is a distressed situation. They've had to choose between their house and their job, their house and their business, something like that. Maybe they're moving to another part of the United States for work or something like that. So they want to sell while they can get equity. A lot of people are worried about the election. You know, I'm not a political person. I just like to be market oriented, but there is that feeling, you know, that some people are trying to make their decisions based on the outcome of the election. So let's talk about what the stats actually are. So in Jackson County this week, we had 97 new listings. We had 39 go back on market. So 97 new listings and 39 go back on the market, 118 closings. So those are not all the same houses, because everything goes in, there's a timeline, it's like a 30, 60, 90-day cycle. You put your house on the market. You should be in escrow in 30 days, but not everybody is. So you give yourself like a 30 to 90-day window. But I find it remarkable that we have 97 new listings in Jackson County and 39 back on the market, and then 9 canceled. So Josephine County has an interesting ratio. We have 38 new houses on the market in Josephine County, and we have 10 back on market. So that's an interesting ratio. 38 in Josephine County, 38 new houses on the market, 10 back on the market, 38 closed. So Josephine County, in my opinion, is holding its own, but it's interesting that we have so many people losing their buyers, so many buyers canceling their contracts, and then the house has to go back on the market. And then in Klamath, we have 65 new properties this week. We have 26 back on the market. So Klamath County, 65 new properties, 26 back on the market, and 38 closed. So those ratios are interesting. They're showing changes, they're micro changes in the trends. Once those get some legs, they become major trends and give us a little more predictability. But I just find it fascinating that the back on market. So buyers, so if you're selling, you need to know your buyer has almost a 20 to 35% chance of changing their mind after they're in escrow. So if you're selling, you want to do everything you can to keep them calm and keep them happy. And I see a lot of very minor repair being pointed out on inspections, and it freaks people out. So if you're selling, I cannot stress enough how important it is to get your home inspection right this second. Do it ahead of time, please, so that your buyer just doesn't have any reason to get worried. And plus, you might think your roof is okay. We just had a situation in Central Point. The roof looked great from the street. Well, come to find out, it's got like 12 months of life left. It's going to be $13,000, and now everybody's all freaked out. I think it's going to be fine in the end. I'm feeling pretty confident that the seller is going to put on a new roof, because whoever comes down the pike after us is going to need the same thing. But it was kind of a shock to everybody, because you stand at the street, you walk around the house, and everything looks fine. And then the home inspector goes up there and goes, oh, well, you go up there and all the little granules are gone. like all those little black tiles, the composition tiles on the composition roofs. It goes like the gutters are full of all these little granules. This roof is a 25-year roof and it's like 27 years old. So good luck with that. So try to keep your buyers calm and happy. Let them come back and visit the house. If you're a seller, I have had 3 sellers this week who got huffy about us coming back in the house to visit it, to take measurements, to do extra videos, to do floor plans. Don't do that. Make it comfortable for the buyer to come back. They don't have to come back every week, but you do want them to come back and reestablish that they're making the right decision. If you're buying and you're nervous, then you're just going to have to get over it because you're never going to find another opportunity where we have this confluence of markets where it's good for the seller and the buyer. That just doesn't happen very much. You know, the real estate radio show that Pete Belcastro and I do every week, we've been talking about this a lot lately. Is that we're both older people and we've all watched so many markets, and it's usually one side or the other is in charge. And now we kind of have this situation where it's good for everybody. So if you're buying, try to do as much homework up front as quickly as you can. And again, this is where home inspections, if they're done ahead of time, can really grease the wheels here. But if you don't have a home inspection, at least when you're going on tour, start looking at the big systems. Try to look at the furnace. They frequently have tags on them that'll say how old they are, the hot water heater, the air conditioner. If there's a phone number on it, call that phone number while you're at the house and ask them if they have any records so you can know. If you have a friend or a relative that's in the business and is nice enough to go with you, maybe they can shortcut the process and go, oh, that looks like a good roof, but it's actually crap. That would be helpful. But not everybody has access to those people. So you rely on your agent. But also just take a deep breath if you're buying and try not to worry too much. Have your home inspector lined up. Within the first week so you can get through that part, and order your appraisal immediately after so everything can just kind of stay on track. And if you're a buyer and you're in a multiple offer situation, you have to stand your ground with calm. You can't go running into these multi-offer bidding wars and just lose your cool and offer anything, because then you're going to regret it later. You need to make these decisions in the calm and quiet before you even go out and look at houses. And if you have a partner or a family, you need to be in tune with them and you need to make your decisions. It's like, okay, so if we're going to do in a multiple offer situation, that means we're going to have to overbid. Can we pay our own closing costs? Can we reach out to friends and relatives who can give us an extra $5,000 or $10,000? What if we put in a little higher bid and then the appraisal comes in low and the seller won't deduct the difference because they've got 3 backup offers? So you got to have your strategy ahead of time. As the interest rates, they're still going down. We're closing things at 2.7% interest. Like I can't even wrap my head around this. But that's okay. It's very exciting. We're all going to really enjoy buying stuff for the next year. But as the interest rates go down, that gives you a little more buying power. But maybe you actually, take that lower interest rate and that lower payment and then don't bid on properties right up to the very top of your purchase power. You go a little bit under so that you have some room to overbid a little bit. And I always say, talk to your friends and family. You'd be shocked at who wants to help you. They won't always step up right in the beginning, but if they see that you've got your act together enough that you could get qualified, you've got an agent, you've got a strategy, a lot of times they'll jump in and help when you least expect it. And an extra $5,000 to $20,000 is what you're wanting. Also, I know not all real estate agents like having family meetings in these situations, but I am a big fan of getting everybody on the phone. We can Zoom, we can FaceTime, we can meet in person if we do the social distancing thing. And you have a powwow and you go, look, this is an opportunity. These people are ready to purchase something. They're within $5,000 to $20,000 of making the deal of the lifetime. And this is going to help the whole family. You guys think about jumping in and make it a business proposition. So So if you're buying, those are my strategy suggestions. But please, if you're buying, don't be writing offers that you can't stand behind, because I'm looking at the back on market rates in this 20 to 30 something percent fallout. That's way too high. So what that tells me is there's a lot of emotion and possibly just homes that are not prepared to be in as good a condition as they should be. So, lastly, I want to mention a little bit about the commercial market. My photographer, film guy Tony, and I were out yesterday at the Rogue Valley Mall trying to live stream, and it only worked in fits and starts, but we figured out. And then, just a little side note is note to self: do not put your iPad on top of a hot car on a hot day, because it will stop functioning. And apparently, you need that to do your broadcast. So we learned a lot yesterday, but we will be reshooting it. We'll load it up, and it'll have a clean cut. So and the important thing to make note of out of that is our commercial market is going through some really hard times. It's expected to get way worse. They're even talking about it on the World Financial newscasts. So if you are a commercial landlord, this is a great time if you have extra cash, to maybe pick up some good deals and expand. If you are a successful business, look around at the strip malls and the big malls that might be suffering, because that might not have been your ideal space to expand before the corona. But now, I mean, these are air conditioned, they're heated, they have lots of bathrooms. I just think there's a lot of great creative repurposing opportunities here that people are not thinking about. If you're a commercial landlord and you're struggling because your tenants can't pay the rent or they're going out of business, there are many renegotiation opportunities. You might have to divvy up the space differently, but I'm somebody you can talk to. You can also talk to commercial brokers, but start getting some ideas, and do reach out to your tenant pool. If you're a tenant and you're struggling, then again, renegotiation. I think in these situations of hard times, good communication is best. So reach out to your landlord, see what you can do, and try to tune into my commercial broadcast, which will be up later today or tomorrow. So I'm Alice Lema, broker John L. Scott here in Southern Oregon. My number is 541-301-7980. Give me a text, give me a call. I'm all about education and research and having people be ready and calm and then going out there and making a good decision. So yep. So have a beautiful Southern Oregon weekend, and I'm around. So if you need anything, again, 541-301-7980. Otherwise, make it a fabulous day, and